Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Well, actually, it's probably good morning wherever you are, but in any event, hope everyone is doing well. It's that time of year. It's we're right around this holiday season, so happy holidays, whatever it is you celebrate, or not celebrate, whatever it is. Happy holidays. So again, good morning. Uh, Again, this is Anthony Paradiso, and the other stream with me is JoLynn Haresign. JoLynn, you want to say hello?
Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays.
Yes, yes. Again, happy holidays. We are looking forward to today's topic. We figured it'd be really a good topic, kind of to discuss, kind of just that more of that best practices, the end of the year, end of the year, kind of like an end of the year recap. We actually did we have quarterly for our internal clients. We have a quarterly just a quarterly, presentation on things that are going on. And our recent one was about kind of that end year recap. So we're going to just follow suit with that again with our webcast. And again, it's really been fun this year doing this, right, JoLynn? Have you enjoyed doing these webcasts?
Yeah, I love to, be able to talk about, all things HR with, my partner in crime, Anthony Paradiso, and drop some knowledge on everyone, all of our four viewers that see this.
Well, each month it does go up a little bit each month.
Yes,
So
each month it goes up, and we want to be able to serve the masses. So hopefully that keeps going.
exactly, exactly. Before we do start, though, we're gonna, for contacting purposes, you can email me, aparadiso at industrialui.com. And JoLynn, how can people reach you?
J Haresign, JHaresign at industrialui.com.
Perfect. So just a few little housekeeping things. We do always recommend, end of the year. It's a good time to, review your handbooks, make sure that they're compliant, make sure everything looks good. Again, we do offer, reviewing of handbook services. So if you ever, have a question about something or whatever it is, you can feel free to email us. We can try to help out as much as we possibly can. But we do recommend that, make sure that you're compliant because depending on the state you're in, make sure you're compliant with your compliance training, such as sexual harassment. Like in New York, there is annual trainings that are required. Other states as well. So just make sure you're compliant with those, with your various states. Again, any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us. Also, we also recommend just with hybrid and remote working, make sure your posters are available, readily, they could be seen, either, intranet, if people are coming to the office or whatever organization you're at, make sure that it's readily available, either the break room or a punch-in area. Just make sure your posters are visible for all. And this is just for everyone else too. The Form I-9 has changed as of a few months ago. It did change. Just make sure that you're giving out or that you're filling, and completing the correct, the correct I-9 form. So just those a few housekeeping things. Some questions now that we came up with again with the end of the year stuff. So question for you, JoLynn. We obviously are full swing, we're full swing ahead with holiday parties. If you haven't had one yet, I'm sure you're going to be having something. It could be virtually, it could be in person, no, whatever it is. I'm sure something's going to be happening if it hasn't already. What's a good checklist for that you think would be good for employers to have regarding any upcoming parties?
Yeah, so keep in mind that even though a holiday party may be an off-site, off-hours event, most states still hold you liable for conduct that happens in a holiday party because it's still considered a quote-unquote work event. So I just want you to be mindful of some things that, typically come up at a holiday party, especially where there may be alcohol involved. Make sure that you have a solid alcohol consumption policy, something that, outlines the expected conduct for those people who are going to be at an off hours or off site event, and there might be alcohol served. Make sure that you are consistent in all your non-discriminatory practices. Your anti-harassment policy is up to date. Think about how are people, if we're serving alcohol at our holiday party, how are people going to get home? Are we arranging for transportation, Uber, Lyft, taxi, whatever? Um, Gift exchanges also can be, a difficult topic to deal with because, we want to make sure that we are being consistent. So if you as a company, want to give gifts to your employees, make sure that we are, if you're giving gift cards or some sort of nominal gift to your employees, that would be outside of any, of course, end of the year holiday bonuses. Just make sure that you're being consistent and update your policies and how you're going to communicate all of these things to your employees. So maybe prior to the holiday party, just sending a reminder to everyone on what your policy is on alcohol consumption, what your policy is on, harassment in the workplace, and to make sure that we are keeping an open mind and an open door for things that happen and dealing with the things that happen at the holiday party in the aftermath. Make sure you're open to discussing, listening to people's concerns, should they have them, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, not much to add from there. I completely agree with everything you're saying. I mean, make sure that again that like you mentioned too, being consistent is important. We have discussed, we use the word consistency throughout the whole year with our webcast, or whatever trainings we do. We always mention be consistent with everyone there. I think being transparent, like you mentioned too, making sure that people are getting, that they're aware of what's expected at the holiday party. It could be email, some kind of electronic communication, so people are aware, with their behavior and what's expected, and that even though it is an off-site party for the most part, usually they're off-site. That this kind of basically what we expect you to be, how you're working on site, you should be how you are how you are off-site as well. Again, you occasional drinking and you're going to be eating, so is that have fun, but just be mindful and be respectful and be professional. I think those are the main things. And just also adding too, we do have cannabis now. That's another thing to be to be mindful of. It's not just alcohol consumption. There are cannabis, whichever state you're in, just be mindful that that there also are cannabis things to also think about. So yeah, so just be mindful of that. And again, this is not even just a holiday party. This could be, you may have it, maybe it's your 50th anniversary as an organization, or you're having a birthday party for somebody, or you're celebrating someone's, anniversary at work. It's not just for your annual holiday parties. It could be other events as well. So another thing that's been on top of mind has been retention. So anything talent acquisition, recruiting, retention has been a conversation or a topic that's been really it's been around for a while, the topic, but but we're paying more close attention to it now, which we always should be. So why do you think, JoLynn, employers should pay close attention to retention?
Well, first of all, they're already with you. You've hired them. Something happened in their interview that thought, hey, this person would be a really good addition to our team. You've invested a lot of money. Some companies can expect to pay, somewhere in the realm of 4 to 20,000 to hire a new employee, including salary benefits, hiring bonuses, things like that. And so you've made a significant investment. The labor market is not really stable at the moment as far as hiring new employees. It's very difficult to attract and find new talent. So I always say the key to, most of your hiring practices is retention. We want to make sure that we are, since we've already made a significant investment in the candidate, now the employee, that we want to, keep them. So how do we do that? We make sure that we're doing exit interviews to find out why people are leaving, doing stay interviews to find out why people are staying, and try to tap into that, the special sauce that your company has to keep people happy, keep people working and productive. And I think that in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're creating a sense of inclusiveness and belonging in the workplace. And you should be looking at your, DEI initiatives to try to keep that, that sentiment going for the people who are happy in the workforce and want to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I think and stay interviews is something that I heard of within the last year or so. Because we've always, we've heard of exit interviews, but we really don't hear often of stay interviews because we, normally if we, we communicate with people, our employees when they're leaving, we should be communicating with them and yearly. Obviously, we should really try more than once a year as well, communicating with our employees. We should communicate as much as we possibly can, but not just focusing on when they're separating, focusing on when they're here, what's going on, what struggles, what struggles are you having? What are the strengths, weaknesses of working here? What can we, what could I as a manager, what could we do as leadership to help you improve, where you're currently at in your career? Because, if any improvement in their career, an employee's career is going to benefit the organization. So you definitely want to maybe try that as an initiative. And again, I understand it's hard. And when you have a lot of people working for you, it's hard to plan these different, interviews or these different times to communicate, but just make it, do it in small strides. I always say, maybe have a few meetings, a few weeks. Don't do it like don't try to aim so high. Try to aim do it in small steps. We're now tapping into a hidden workforce. We're tapping into when it comes to conviction records, we're tapping into now people that may have a prior conviction record that we normally wouldn't have done in the past. So being mindful of that depending on the position that someone's applying for, maybe allow more flexibility, with prior convictions. Also, educational requirements. I just saw a survey or some numbers. I'm not sure how fully accurate it is, but I think, but from what I'm seeing here, more jobs are going to now require a bachelor's degree, and I saw a number as far as about half of the workforce is not going to require now a bachelor's degree. Again, I didn't really look into the source of it. I kind of saw it very quickly, but needless to say, whatever the number is, we are seeing employers out there starting to hire employees out there that may not have, they may have associate's degree, they may have a high school degree. Again, you don't need sometimes a bachelor's degree to do certain positions. So just be mindful, and untapping into a workforce that we haven't before that can really help deliver the needs that we have, at our organization. So definitely, yeah, and yeah, retention is such an important topic because you definitely want to, you want to keep your good employees, around. And some of the suggestions we just mentioned, I think, are some ways to do that. So another question, studies have shown that the Gen Z is poised to overtake baby boomers in the workforce. Do you think, JoLynn, what is your thoughts about, a multi-generational workforce? And do you see there possibly being a tension out there between these different these different generational workforces right now and for next year?
Oh, for sure. I mean, for the first time ever, we have, 5 generations working in the workforce now, from, the youngest to the older or oldest generation, the baby boomers, the greatest generation. Um, a lot of people are, not really retiring at the age that they typically retire. And so a lot of people are choosing to stay in the workforce. And going back to what you said about tapping into the hidden workforce, be mindful of the Ban the Box initiatives, the Second Chance Act, states that require you, like New York, to evaluate the conviction and how it relates to the job. And let's not forget about our veterans. The military has a training program that is second to none. So, people who don't necessarily have a bachelor's degree or higher education have gone to the military, and their education, their training is, something that you definitely want to focus on when you're doing any hiring initiatives, is to keep in mind that we do have a significant workforce out there that is coming out of the military and would be an asset to your organization. But yeah, with different generations being in the workforce, there's bound to be tension, different personalities, different, you know, goals, different expectations. So always be mindful, do some, training on, how to communicate better between the generations and making sure that we are having open dialogue with different people who have different backgrounds and different points of view when it comes to being in the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, there's definitely going to be tension. And it could be positive tension too. And again, tension sometimes can create some good things. I mean, you don't want anything unhealthy. But sometimes some disruption or tension, a little bit of it can go a long way at your organization. I think it's a beautiful thing to have these different generations working together. Again, it will be hard because one generation works another way, where another one, again, grew up at a different time. So there might be different ways of communication, maybe different learning methods. But again, the end result is usually, part of the end result is, you want to further yourself in your career, and you also want your organization to further itself in a positive trajectory. So, you know, we all have most of us have the same goal in the end. So, it just may take a little different approach of how we get there. So I think it's a great thing, having that diversity of thought, inclusivity. And I've seen retirement, and I've seen it more of a discussion now than I had the beginning of the year. I guess with people, I mean, I guess with inflation, there's been a lot of things that that may have, have definitely, maybe slowed the course of people retiring. Maybe, again, there could be many reasons why people are going to, not retire so soon. And also people that may have retired may come back in the workforce. So it's just definitely very interesting times. But just be mindful of those various things that are going on. Next question has been one that's been I think more of the latter part of the year. We've discussed it throughout the last few years, but with ChatGPT, there's been now things really been kind of heightened the conversations the last several months is so that's more of artificial intelligence. So do you think, JoLynn, that artificial intelligence will play an important role within HR next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is here to stay. I just hope that we can figure out a way to use it to our advantage ethically and that complies with our, company mission, vision, and values. And, I have some concerns that, we definitely don't want to take the human out of human resources or human capital management. I want there to be, a balance. AI can, create a tremendous advantage to people when, communicating policies and things like that. But also we need to have that human perspective, especially when we're, making accommodations and talking to our employees, that we definitely want to keep the human in HR.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember we had internal conversations about artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, and I actually in the very beginning was against it because I just felt that we were going to use it and lose that human side and also take advantage of it in the sense of not really use our minds too much. We're going to kind of just go to this program and just kind of say spit, kind of let it spit things out for us. But as the months have gone on, I'll be the first to admit that I use it. But I use it to my advantage and the company's advantage. If I'm having an issue with the word that I'm not, being, like that I'm not thinking of, or I just want to make it a little more, you know, exciting because that ChatGPT is good at doing that. I use it, and I'm not, don't go on it to like say, give me a whole paper or paragraph on this, and this. I mean, I've also have it's been an interesting topic for me because I also started this year as an adjunct professor. So it's been very interesting with dealing with students who are 18 to 20 and how they're utilizing ChatGPT and whatnot. So it's just been very interesting to see people again. It's mostly that generational differences on people that are how they're using it. So I'm just again, it's not going away anywhere. It's definitely a topic that is it's or a topic or a function that we are going to be using for sure in the years to come. So it's not going away, but we have to be mindful that again we want to keep that human approach and the human side. So I think really the way of dealing with that really is training. Um, there are people now that are offering trainings on ChatGPT, and artificial intelligence. How do we use it to our advantage? Also just the functions of what we can do with it. I took a presentation with my local SHRM chapter just last month and learned a lot about the functions that these different you know that these different the different functions that can be used and utilized. So it's just very interesting to kind of to learn more about what it is because you really can use it to make you can make maybe you can make more efficient job descriptions. So there are many things to utilize it with, but again, not to don't let it do the thinking for you. Let it you can think about what you want to use and then use it to maybe make it a little more, I don't know, to make it more attractive or whichever it is. But yeah, definitely it's going to be an important role. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember. I recall. I know artificial intelligence has been out there for a while, but it's really, I think, the last half of the year has really come out as a discussion. Am I right, JoLynn, or am I?
Yeah, in pretty much every facet of the workplace,
Yeah.
communication, policies, all of it.
No, yeah, and I think I guess Chat GPT was kind of like the one that topic or the thing that kind of pushed it over where we're discussing it a lot more. So yeah, it's definitely not going away anywhere. Um, so last question is has DEIB, so diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, been reinvented? What are your thoughts on JoLynn? Where do you see DEIB going? Have you seen any changes the last several years? Where do you see it going, or where do you see it now?
Well, unfortunately, I do see like chatter and things online about people taking a step back from their DEI programs. And I think that is a mistake, especially from an HR perspective, because, you know, while we don't necessarily want to go to extremes, we definitely want to make sure that part of the investment that we're making in our employees is their, feeling of being equal, having a sense of inclusivity and belonging in the workplace. And the way to do that is through training and coming up with a program where people can have that feeling in the workplace that they are being included. And to take a step back, just because of, politics or headlines or whatever, it's going to be a disservice to your organization to do that. So I think we do need to reinvent it in a way that we are thinking outside the box when it comes to bringing that sense of belonging into the workplace, but also not being discouraged because of, a blip in the headlines.
Yeah, I completely, yeah, I agree. Definitely. It's there are some pushback. I've seen a lot of it as of late with an organization pushing back, and usually what I've seen and probably you've seen too, usually it takes a huge horrific, tragedy to happen in order for DEIB to kind of be pushed back into the forefront in an organization. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, that doesn't happen again. I'm hoping we can continue to make this conversation, this topic really important. Training is essential. Consistent training, for instance, it's a passion of mine. I do enjoy presenting, but on DEIB, but you can't it's not efficient to have someone come in for an hour for 1 year and then expect change or expect it has to be consistent training, consistent discussions. Again, you could hire somebody to come in and present, maybe have HR maybe continue on doing initiatives internally to kind of just continue conversations. And that's what it comes around really, is the conversation piece, because everyone has a story. So it's more of just contributing and discussing those stories with one another. And definitely, there's definitely headlines and there's politics obviously involved. There's certain states aren't, can't even really, you can't even, it's hard to even discuss DEIB in an organization. So there definitely needs to be a way to reinvent it. Maybe, not maybe, but what we could do is we want to make sure everyone's feeling included. So there has been a level of, there are people that are feeling excluded from the DEIB discussion. So there has to be a way where we can kind of bring everyone together. And I think it's with those stories, because we all have them, regardless of our ethnicity or our sexual orientation. We our gender, we have these stories. So just some interesting, a number while we'll come up with questions. I found this interesting number. So in healthcare organizations with DEIB training, 35% of workers saw an improvement in workplace culture during the past year. But I just thought that was really an interesting number. Again, it's not surprising to see that training um, has an impact, and usually it's a positive impact. One of the things that I have seen DEIB the last year is also mental health being discussed and continually being discussed, and in a way where it's not negative. It seems to be a more of a positive discussion. That's been really a good thing. People, discussing, again, we're right around the holiday season. So if you have off during this month, or take off, make sure that you're not doing the work, making sure that you're kind of spending time with family and your friends and loved ones, and just kind of just enjoying your time off, because we all need that time to kind of just relax and veg and just kind of just be away from all the hustle. So when you have time off, or I know also people, this is the time of year people may not have, or people haven't used all their time off. So you may be having conversations with your managers or supervisors to make sure that your employees are taking the time off. And so this is a way of a discussion to make sure that people are utilizing PTO and whatnot. But yeah, and then one last thing with DEIB is, when I started, so I've been in HR for a while now, but I started in the DEI space around 2017, 2018. And for the most part, the conversation then was diversity, equity. Diversity and inclusion were the two main, we discussed diversity, then inclusion was being discussed, the importance of it. And then equity during the pandemic, during COVID, kind of came out. And now we're seeing the word belonging coming around, which is really, that is certainly a reinvention too, because we are seeing more acronyms coming out of DEI, and certainly belonging is one of them. So it's really important, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the next year with these discussions. But we are almost out of time. Anything you want to add, JoLynn, before we say bye for 2023?
No, I think we covered all we needed to cover that we had on our agenda, so I think we're good.
Awesome. Well, again, if you ever need any kind of HR support, any kind of friends, or an HR friend, so to speak, we are here. It's been a wonderful 2023. We are looking forward to continuing doing this next year, 2024. If you want to reach out to me, again, I'm Anthony Paradiso, Paradiso, Paradiso at industrialui.com. And JoLynn, how can people reach out to you again?
J Haresign, JHaresign at industrialui.com.
Perfect. Well, again, thanks so much. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Have a great rest of the year, and we'll see you in 2024.
Yeah, happy holidays. See you next year.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.